What if the person you loved walked out the door one cold December morning, promising to be right back, and then was never seen again? What if years went by, the seasons changed, entire lives moved on, but there was still no trace, no answers, no closure? This is the story of Donnie Erwin, a Navy veteran, a father, and a man who simply wanted a pack of cigarettes one winter morning in Camdenton, Missouri. He got into his silver Hyundai Elantra, waved goodbye, and then vanished, as if the earth itself had swallowed him whole. For over a decade, his disappearance would haunt his family, baffle investigators, and torment a small Ozark town. Rumors swirled, theories piled up, but one thing was certain. Donnie was gone without a trace. Until a YouTuber with a drone and a determination unlike any other uncovered something that law enforcement had missed for 10 long years. Stay with me, because in this story, the ending will leave you shaken, and the truth about where Donnie had been all along will force you to question how a man, a car, and an entire mystery could hide in plain sight. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, so you'll always be the first to know when another true crime story is posted. Donnie Erwin was 59 years old when he disappeared on December 29, 2013. Life had not been easy for him. He was a proud Navy veteran, a man who had already endured the unthinkable. He had lost his left leg above the knee and walked with the aid of crutches. Despite that, he had a reputation for toughness, resilience, and quiet dignity. Those who knew him say he didn't let his disability define him. That morning, Donnie left home with almost nothing. Just a gift card in his pocket. No wallet, no extra clothes, nothing that suggested he was planning to run away. His mission was simple: to stop at a gas station and buy a pack of cigarettes. It was supposed to be an ordinary errand, but it was the last time anyone in his family ever saw him alive. The hours ticked by, the sun set, and as the night deepened, worry turned to panic. Where was Donnie? Why hadn't he returned? Law enforcement was called. Search teams combed the roads, woods, and waterways around Camdenton. Helicopters scanned from the skies, while divers and dogs scoured the earth below. Yet no sign of Donnie. Not him, not his car. It was as if he had simply ceased to exist. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Then years. And every time his family begged for answers, the response was the same. Nothing. No evidence. No suspects. No clues. The case went cold. But then, 10 years later, an unlikely figure stepped into the mystery. A YouTuber named James Hinkle, who ran a small channel called Echo Divers, devoted to underwater exploration and missing persons. Armed with drones, sonar, and sheer determination, he decided to take on Donnie's case himself. He retraced Donnie's last known steps, scanning ponds, quarries, and backroads the police had searched years earlier. Most days turned up nothing. But on one bitter December afternoon in 2023, while flying his drone over a small pond not far from Donnie's home, James noticed something strange beneath the water's surface. It looked like the shape of a car. When James Hinkle first noticed the shape beneath the pond's surface, he didn't dare to believe it. Over the years, he had found logs, debris, and shadows that his eyes tried to turn into cars, only to be disappointed. But something about this outline was different. It was too precise, too straight, too metallic. He knew he had to get closer. With permission from the property owner, James and his partner paddled out in a small kayak, bringing along sonar equipment to scan the pond. The sonar confirmed what his eyes had suspected. Beneath the thick layer of algae and mud, there was indeed a vehicle lying still in the water. James had uncovered something that law enforcement and professional search teams had missed for 10 long years. The authorities were called immediately. On December 17, 2023, firefighters, deputies, and divers converged on the scene. Slowly and methodically, they worked to pull the car from the water. As the crane lifted it into the air, the truth emerged. A silver 2002 Hyundai Elantra, its body covered in years of muck and algae. The same make and model that Donnie Erwin had been driving when he disappeared. The crowd that had gathered watched in silence as the vehicle emerged, dripping and broken, from its watery grave. For Donnie's family, It was a moment of devastating clarity. After all the rumors, all the false hopes, all the unanswered questions, here was the car they had waited so long to find. Inside, authorities made another discovery. Among the wreckage, they recovered a titanium hip replacement. Donnie had undergone hip surgery before his disappearance, and the implant matched the one he carried in his body. Though forensic testing would still be needed to make an official confirmation, there was little doubt. This was Donnie's final resting place. 10 years of uncertainty had ended in one shocking revelation. Donnie had been there the entire time, hidden just beneath the surface of a pond no more than a mile from where he had lived. A man who had vanished without a trace had, in fact, never left at all. The discovery begged new questions. How did Donnie's car end up in the water? Was it a tragic accident on a cold winter's night? Or was there something more sinister at play? Something overlooked for a decade? For James Hinkle, the YouTuber who made the breakthrough, the moment was bittersweet. His relentless search had given Donnie's family the gift of answers, but it had also forced them to face a heartbreaking truth. The mystery of Donnie's disappearance was no longer, where is he? But instead, what really happened that night? The discovery of Donnie Erwin's car at the bottom of a small pond should have brought closure. In some ways, it did. His family finally knew where he had been all these years. But in the place of silence came new questions that still gnaw at the edges of the truth. Was this a tragic accident? Had Donnie simply lost control of his car on a slick road and slid unnoticed into the water? If so, how could law enforcement and search teams miss a vehicle so close to his home for an entire decade? Some in the community could not accept that explanation. To them, it seemed unthinkable that a man and a car could vanish in plain sight. Others wondered if something darker had happened. Donnie was known to be a proud, independent man, but he also struggled with the physical and emotional toll of his disability. Some whispered that he might have been in despair. Could his drive that morning have been more than a trip for cigarettes? If so, what pain had been hidden behind his quiet resilience? Still, there are those who believe more sinister possibilities exist. A wrong turn, an encounter with the wrong person, or even a deliberate push into the water. Without clear evidence, the truth remains shrouded in shadows. The car was recovered, and the titanium hip matched Donnie's surgery history, but the final story of how it got there remains untold. For the people of Camdenton, the case left scars. Neighbors who had spent years searching the woods and waters around town felt frustration and sorrow that the answer had been so close all along. Friends remembered Donnie as a kind, determined man who deserved better than to be forgotten beneath the surface of a pond. And for his family, the discovery was both a relief and a heartbreak. The end of hope, but also the end of torment. The emotional toll is immeasurable. A decade of birthdays, holidays, and quiet nights were spent wondering if Donnie might somehow walk back through the door. Instead, the truth was that he had been gone the entire time. His story became a haunting reminder of how easily a life can slip away, how thin the line is between presence and absence, and how mystery can linger even in the places we think we know best. The case of Donnie Erwin is one of tragedy, resilience, and unanswered questions. It shows us how determination, even from an ordinary citizen with a drone and a YouTube channel, can crack open mysteries that seemed unbreakable. And yet, it also forces us to confront the limits of what we may ever know. What happened in Donnie's final moments? Did he slip quietly into the water by accident? Or was there something more? We may never know the full truth. What we do know is that behind every cold case lies a family searching for answers, a community grasping for closure, and a legacy of pain and resilience. Donnie's story, now uncovered, is one that reminds us to look closer, to ask harder questions, and to never forget those who disappear. And as you reflect on this haunting case, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you believe really happened that night? Was it a tragic accident? Or is there a darker truth waiting to be uncovered? Share your theories and reflections in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, so you'll be the first to know when the next true crime story arrives.